Greetings! Today on my Focus RS I am installing the solid shifter cable bushings from Sico Developments. With the stock shifter setup, your cable has like a ring on the end, and then inside that is your bushing, and the stock bushing is just this plastic stuff. So what I figure is whenever you're pulling on the gear stick, that plastic is bending slightly before it actually pulls it into gear. So simply by changing those plastic bushings, which will compress a bit, to solid bushings, which will not compress, then whenever we push into gear, it will just go boom, and there'll be none of that slack and none of that extra play, and it should make it feel just that little bit more positive and that little bit nicer, more race car feel. So that's pretty much the talky bit. Let's get down to the installation. Alright, so we want to get underneath the airbox here. You can kind of maybe see just underneath there. You can see the Cobb shift plate that I have in place, which is on the shifter arm, and above that is where one of the cables connects, and you're never going to see where the other cable connects until we get the airbox out. So I'm going to take the airbox out, I'm going to take this hose out, and I'm going to take off the bolt that holds this in place just to give us a little bit more wiggle room to play with. So the first thing I need to do just to get at that is to take the engine cover off. So we just grip it and give it a good old yank. Just on little rubber grommet things. So this is a little bolt that we're going to take out. So now this is nice and loose and gives us a little bit of play for getting the rest of this out. So now we're going to go at the hose. We can take this off. We just push this little tab in and wiggle that off, and that comes off, and then we just get that out of the way. So then I'm going to go at these two clamps, 7mm socket. And then we'll just wiggle and wriggle this off. Alright, now that we have our hose out, we can go at just the actual airbox itself. The first thing we got to do is loosen this sort of flap thing, so we just give that a wee pull and that sort of brings that right out. And you can see these are the two sort of pipe things that go into the airbox. Next is the electrical connection, just pops right out like that. So now everything is disconnected, we just need to grab onto the airbox and give it a good swift jiggle upwards. It just sits on little rubber grommet things. One more thing, actually, this electrical connection, it is sitting inside this little, there's a hole here, and it's like little sort of like a Christmas tree barb thing, so we do need to sort of give that a wee yank to get that out of there, because that is connected to the plastic of the airbox, and we don't want to rip that off. So yeah, this rubber bit right here needs to come out of there, make sure that that's loose. Okie dokie, now we have our airbox out, we can see our shift arm. As you can see, I have the short shifter from Cobb. You don't necessarily have to have this, of course. You can do this mod on its own, and I'm sure it will be an absolutely fantastic mod. But I think doing it along with the short shift, it will be just a really awesome combination. So the two shift bushings that we're changing are on our two shift cables, and that is this bad boy and this bad boy here. So the bushing is this middle bit inside this ring. So in order to get at that, we need to pop it off the little ball ends. So we're going to do that right now. So the tool that I'm using is this kind of pry tool with a nice grip. It's metal and it's got this angle going on. So it's just like the perfect tool for this. You can get it right in there in between the ball, and you can just go clink and it just comes right off. It's really, really nice. I definitely recommend you have some kind of pry tool such as this to do this job. So let's go. So we get in here and just pop it off like that. I mean, while we're here, we might as well do the other one too. So same thing. There we go, that's it off. So you can see I've turned it over there, and you've got the black bit in the middle, that is the bushing, and then that green bit in the center. We need to get that out of there and put that inside our solid shifter bushing. What we need to do is we need to basically rip off this plastic, get that out, and then once we get it out, we need to carefully remove the rest. So this is a little bit of a destructive process because we do have to basically destroy the old bushing in order to put the new ones in, but it's all good. It will be a great improvement, I am sure. what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try and get in between here, this sort of plastic ring of the bushing, and then I'm going to just sort of try and break bits off at a time, trying to get all the way around so that I can then push the rest of the bushing out through the other side. Okay, cool. Now I believe I have got enough of the material from the old bushing off from around the middle here to allow me to push the bushing out through the other side. Yep, I do indeed. There we go. So that is our old bushing. So you can see that we are just left with this ring. So obviously that is where our new bushing is going to go. So while I'm here, I'm going to get the bushing out of the other cable as well. Exact same process. We're going to go at this black plastic bit, which does break away fairly easily. It's a little bit fiddly to get going, I will admit, but once you get started and you get in there with your pliers, you can easily just keep taking big chunks out and then it slips right out. Whenever you're going around it, if you need to, you can just twist the bushing around with your fingers to get a better angle if you need to. So yeah, exact same process then on the other bushing. Alrighty, we are now ready to do the exact same thing and just pop our bushing out the other side, like so. And there it is. So now what we need to do is, we need to just continue to remove some material here in order to access the little green bit in the inside. So just looking at one of the stock bushings now that it is out, you can see this inner black part. This is where the cable was holding on to the bushing, and you can see that it's made of rubber and there's actually this big gap in between, so you can see it's so easy just to like squish it, and that is going to be where that sloppiness is coming from. That is what we're going to be getting rid of with our solid shifter bushing. There we go. If I get one of our new solid bushings and unscrew it, you can see then where this little green boyo goes in. So just pops right inside here, just right in the middle. Once we have the other end of the new bushing in, then we put this end in and we screw it together, and you'll see then the green bit is now inside our new bushing. That'll then clip into the ball end of our shift arm and it will be all good. So yeah, that's actually the next step. But before I get to that, I'm going to get the little green thing out of the other bushing, and then we'll just do both of them at the same time. Okay, now we're back to our cables. So we take one of the ends that we haven't put a green thing into, and we grab one of our cables and we just get that shimmied in there. Fits in like a glove. Absolutely beautiful. We are ready to get the other end screwed back in, but first we're going to put some thread locker on the threads. We're going to be using a blue thread locker, so you can either use Loctite or I'm going to use the leftover Vibratite that I got with my Cobb. So basically, we're just going to get a nice line on our threads. We're going to get our green thing. I think it can only go in one way, really. It's sort of like tapered a bit. Alright, cool. Now we're ready to get this screwed on. Alright. So we just reach in and screw it on. So we don't want to over tighten this. If you over tighten this too much, it could squeeze on the little green thing, make it difficult for it to really work, like move around on the ball, and therefore make it difficult to change gears. So I mean, it's decently hand tight there. These have an Allen shape up here, and this is an 8mm Allen. If we use another tool on the other end, we could be tempted to really over tighten it. So just using the Allen key on this side, just to get that reasonably hand tight. We just want it to be tight like that, not overly tight, and then just let that thread locker do its job. So I'm not going to drive the car for like 24 hours, just until that thread locker is fully cured, and then we'll be good to go. But yeah, that is that one done. So once that is done, we can get it back onto the ball end. Alright, now that that's in, we're just going to repeat the exact same process for the other cable. Well, there we go. That is the two new bushings successfully installed. They were, I will say that they were quite stiff getting them on there. If you are having an issue getting them back on, it probably just means that you have tightened them too tight. So what you'll have to just do is back them off a bit and then they should pop on. But yeah, I mean, like, they are noticeably stiff on there, but that I think is a good thing as long as they are on correctly. So the last thing that we need to do before we get our airbox back in here is to reset the neutral position. It is very quick and easy to do. I have it in the neutral position right now. So what I'm going to do is just this little white tab thing. It's got two little flaps on the end, so we just have to push them sort of apart. Once they're pushed apart, then we can push this out and it just sort of clicks out. So whenever that's out, then we run into the car. Dooby-dooby-doo. We pop this into 4 and then we run back out. Da-da-da-da-da. And then we just pop this back in. And that is our neutral position reset. So now that we have that done, we can get the airbox back in, our hose is all connected up, and then that'll be us done. Well, there we go, that is installation complete of the solid shifter cable bushings on my Focus RS from Sico Developments. Installation was not too difficult, just a couple of little fiddly bits, mainly getting the old bushings off, getting that little green bit out, but after that it wasn't too much hassle. So all that remains for me to do is to go out and see how it drives now. Like I said before, I'm going to leave it about 24 hours just to let the thread locker do its thing, and then we'll see how it goes. So this is of course part 2 of me changing things with the shifter. Of course, the first part was the Cobb short shift plate. Now we have the solid shifter bushings. So there is another part to come and you'll find out what that is very soon. So make sure you're subscribed for that. And then I will be talking about the whole change in shift experience so that you can understand exactly what difference all these mods have made individually and together. So yeah, I hope you like this new mod. I hope you like this video. Please do like, share and subscribe for more content to come very, very soon. Thank you once again. Goodbye.